Hi, for this class we're going to do a short restorative sequence. So you can go ahead and start in a nice comfortable seat. I'm going to sit on a yoga block just to make my spine a little bit taller, elongated. So go ahead and close your eyes and just slowly come into your breath. Breathing in and out the nose. As we sit and breathe, I want you to try to relax the muscles in your face. Letting go of the muscles of the forehead, the jaw, the eyes. Slow, deep inhales and exhales. Clearing out the mind and just focus on the breath. Trying to get the inhales as long as the exhales. And go ahead and open your eyes. Let's inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, clasp your hands, press the palms up. Let the ribs open just a little bit. And then tuck the chin into the chest and pull the ribs back. Keep pressing the palms up and the pinkies back. Trying to keep your arms straight as much as possible. Breathing. As you breathe, keep pulling the arms back slightly. Pull the ribs back. And the chin down. One more inhale. Exhale. Release the hands. Then let's go ahead. I was sitting on a block. I'm going to just take that block out. And I'm going to take my right leg out to the side. Flexing my right foot. I'm going to take the block maybe inside. Inhale, reaching up. And exhale. Taking the forearm to the block and extending over. So if that's too high, you can always take it down or remove it altogether and extend. Breathe. Lift and lengthen out of the hip. So again, you can use that block if you'd like. Lengthen. Relax the shoulders. Breathe, and we're just going to hold here. So whatever position is comfortable for your neck. If it's tweaking, if you look up, then go ahead and look down or look slightly forward. Try to keep the top arm straight. Try to lift and lengthen the chest instead of just going for the side extension. We're lengthening as we extend to the side. Flexing that outer foot. Keeping that straight leg straight. And as I'm keeping that right leg straight, I'm drawing the outer left glute down, outer left hip. 2 more breaths here. And then slowly release. And this time, you can use the block underneath the heel, or skip that. Okay, I'm going to take my leg up. Block under the heel, and again, I'm going to lengthen. So if you have 2 blocks, you can again place your forearm on that position where it previously was, or you can remove the block, come to the previous position. We're going to breathe here for about 5 breaths, but if you can, maybe go a little bit deeper. As you elongate, lift the chest, extend. Breathe. I'm pressing a little bit down into my hand to help lengthen my ribs over towards my right knee. Breathe. Keep turning the toes back and extending. Breathe and lengthen. And coming up. And then we're going to go ahead and switch sides. So bend the right knee. Take the block over to the left side. Straighten the left leg. Taking the block in front of that left knee. Keep this leg nice and straight and engaged, and keep turning my toes back. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, left arm, forearm to the floor or the block or wherever you'd like. Just to allow some lengthening, lifting the ribs. We're breathing here, so we want to kind of find a decent spot that's not too uncomfortable, that we can't hold it. We want to breathe and settle into this position. Lifting and lengthening the ribs, so I'm not reaching for my toes. I'm getting long. I'm gluing the outer hip and glute towards the floor on my right side. My left leg is straight, and I'm breathing. Head is neutral, wherever is comfortable. Keep lengthening through that top arm. Keep it straight. Don't let it just hang down there. Keep it long. Try to roll the right shoulder blade back. Pressing a little into the block to help lift out of your shoulder so you're not neck and ear and shoulder all mixed together. You want to find length. Open the chest. Breathe. Couple more breaths. Lift the chest. Two more breaths. Keep lifting up out of that bottom shoulder. Rolling the right outer glute down, keeping the left leg straight. And slowly release. Take a breath. We're going to basically go back into the same position. So you can either stay exactly where you were or take the block underneath the heel. Inhale up. This time we won't be here as long. Exhale. Release the forearm to the block or the floor. If you want to use another block, you can place it there. Extend that top arm. Lift up out of the bottom shoulder. Press down into the floor. Breathe. Lift up out of the side body as you root the right outer hip down. Outer glute down. Breathe. Get long, whatever's comfortable for your neck. Turn your toes back. So we're still being active in this pose. An active stretch. Breathe. Lift up out of the shoulder. Lean the upper body back slightly. Keep that top arm straight. Finding the breath. Two more breaths. And slowly release. Coming up. Good, go ahead and take the block. Bring it to the side. I'm just going to scooch to the back side of my mat. And then I'm going to take both legs out wide. If you need to, you can sit on a block. Okay, that's just going to give your hamstrings a little bit of leeway. Okay, otherwise, legs are straight. Lift the chest. And then we're going to lengthen forward. As I lengthen forward, I'm not letting my toes turn in. So if you need to, you just bring your legs a little closer, okay? Press down into your hands and lift the chest. And again, you can use a block in the front if you want. 2 blocks if you like. Press down, lift and lengthen the chest. As I'm lengthening, my inner thighs are not rolling inward. They're still externally rotating. Keep externally rotating. So my legs are still working. The fronts of my legs. So my hamstrings can relax. Keep taking those pinky toes back. Breathe. Breathe. Lift the kneecaps if possible. Keep working those legs back as you lengthen the chest forward. So you may be here. Okay, you may be here. That's fine. You want to take the tailbone, sit bones, and lift it up behind you. Elongating the chest. Turn those toes back. Keep the kneecaps working. Belly in. Breathe. And right now, I'm not necessarily at my most flexible straddle position. It's something that I can work with and elongate and breathe in. Taking those toes back, working the thighs, lifting the kneecaps up towards the hips. So the front of the legs, again, are working. The back of the legs are extending, even from the back of the heel, extending out. Breathe, lift and lengthen the chest, a little bit of back work here. Breathe, and again, we lengthen through the chest, no rounding of that back. Once you round, then your pelvis pulls forward, and that means that your hamstrings are not stretching as far. Keep turning those toes back as you lengthen the chest forward. So it's kind of like a press down, pull through. As I'm pushing my forearms down, the elbows and forearms are pulling back towards my hip bones. My hips are pulling forward towards my elbows. Kneecaps are lifting, quads are working, toes are pulling back. Just a couple more breaths. Keep thinking of those key points I keep mentioning. Keep active as you lengthen, as you stretch, as you breathe. Keeping the mind into the body. 2 more breaths. Good, and walk it back. Bringing the legs in. Take your hands back. And then just let the knees go a little side to side, get a twist. One more each side. Okay, so now we're going to take one foot on top of the block and one leg behind. So I've got my right leg up and my left leg back. Block is optional. You don't have to use the block. Okay, and then we're going to come forward. And I'm going to slide my back knee back just a little bit behind my knee, or sorry, behind my hip line. Okay, so it just depends. So maybe your knee and hip are in one line, that's also fine. Okay, so we want to try to angle that left hip forward slightly. Breathe and lengthen the chest. Lift and lengthen the chest over. So it's a half diamond shape in the front leg and a half diamond shape in the back leg. Lift and lengthen the chest, breathe. We won't be here that long. You can lengthen forward. Good, coming up. And we're just going to adjust this. I'm going to turn to the side slightly. I'm going to take the block. I'm going to keep the back leg back. And this time I'm straightening this front leg. I know I'm at an angle here, but your hips are pointing towards that foot. Lengthening the chest, and exhale, we're going to fold. You can point or flex the foot, whatever feels good. And I'm going to keep pulling my chest to be parallel to my front foot. Breathe. Lengthening the spine. If this is uncomfortable with the back leg, you're just going to bring it around again. So that option looks like this. Here. Breathe. Try to lift the kneecap. And again, if this is too much with the block, you just remove the block out of the way. I'm lengthening my chest forward, elongating the ribs over my right thigh. Breathe and hold. Try not to round down. Try to lift and lengthen. Again, retracting the shoulder blades back as my chest pulls forward. So I'm working a bit of upper back. Breathing. And then we're going to come up. And we're going to go ahead and switch sides. Placing that foot on the block. Diamond in the front. Diamond in the back. So however's comfortable with this block. My ankle bone is actually just off that block. It's a little bit more comfortable. And I'm going to come forward and then breathe. Rotating that right hip forward so I'm not sitting back. Okay, I'm trying to turn forward and breathe. Lengthening your chest. Good, and I'm going to straighten that front leg, keeping the leg behind you if possible. You can remove the block. Flexing the foot, angling the chest over, and folding. Again, if you need to, put the leg in the front. Extending. Pulling the chest parallel over that leg, lengthening your spine, wrapping the shoulder blades back, breathing, trying to lift the kneecap, the quad, finding your breath. Breathing into that hamstring. Lengthening the spine. Two more breaths. Breathe into it. Don't forget the breath. Don't forget the extension of the chest. Wrapping the shoulder blades. Lifting the left kneecap. and slowly coming up. So this time now, if you have 2 blocks, grab them. We're going to go over to the right leg. So we're going to go into splits. So right leg forward. Slide your left knee back. Straighten your front foot, flex. Now you can stay up with the blocks and pull the right hip back. Tuck the pelvis. You can stay here and breathe. So what you really want to try to do is keep the hips parallel to the front. It's much easier to drop into your split with your left hip open. Okay? This is easy, kind of lazy split. So what you want to work is turning that left inner thigh towards the ceiling and the left quadricep to the floor. So you can breathe, you can stay here, you can drop it a little bit lower. There might be a slight external rotation of the left leg, but you don't want it to be a complete external rotation. You want to keep working the left inner thigh towards the ceiling. Okay, breathe. Staying here. We're going all the way down. Breathe, pulling that right hip back, left hip forward. You just stay up today. Breathe, turn your right toes back. Right hip back, left hip forward. Keep adjusting. So even though my split is quite far down, I keep working on adjusting my right hip back, left hip forward. Breathe. Tucking the pelvis forward a bit. So you're really working on that hip flexor flexibility into the psoas. Pull the right hip back, left hip forward. 2 more breaths. We won't be here that long. Good, and then slowly release. And I'm going to take my left leg forward and my right leg back. See what's happening on this side. So one side might be a little tighter than the other. My left side is usually tighter than my right. So don't worry if one side is better and one side is not. Flex the front foot. So even if you're starting here, I want you to work on tucking your pelvis forward. Pull that left hip back, right hip forward, and you breathe here. Okay, and then you slowly take your time to get down. Well, your body tells you when you can go down. It's not really up to you. It's what's going on in those legs. And again, the psoas, the hip flexors. Tucking the pelvis forward, pull the ribs back a bit. Pull the right hip forward, lift the right inner thigh. Flex the left foot to just help activate the left quad to keep you stable, balanced. Right hip forward, left hip back. Breathe. A few more breaths, and then we have one more pose. We're just going to open up that upper back for our fish pose. Right hip forward, left hip back. Tuck the pelvis forward. Lift the left kneecap up towards the left hip. Good, and then slowly release. However you need to. Okay, now let's find fish. So you're going to take a block, either low or high, and place it on just underneath where your neck is. Okay, so you want to be just about in between your mid-back and your neck, and you want to make sure that your head can touch the floor. If your head doesn't touch the floor, just take another block and place the block underneath the head. So staying here, I like to open up my arms and just adjust so my shoulder blades don't take all the space under my back. Okay, so I can keep the block there, or if it's too high, flatten the block and release. You can remove the other block and open. So this is where we're going to take our Shavasana in our fish pose. If you want to do an extra Shavasana after this, go for it. You can take the arms out to the sides or overhead, whatever feels good. Make sure the glutes are on the mat. So if the glutes are lifting, that means you probably need to have something underneath your head, whether it's a block or a pillow or something. You don't want your head to hang. If your head is hanging, then most likely you're pulling on the scalenes at the front of the neck to help keep your neck stable. We want to release that. We don't want the front of the neck to work. Breathe. Breathe and let go. Try to relax your glutes, your legs, your feet and toes. Relax the shoulders from the ears and the jaw. Take a couple more breaths. When you're ready, you slowly roll to one side. Remove the block and find a seated position. Sitting up with a nice tall spine. Let's inhale, reach the arms high. And exhale. Release the hands to your heart. And thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.